Hey everybody, welcome to episode 7 of LEGO Rewind, where we take another look at some older tired LEGO themes. Today's topic? Tilt, the Trans International LEGO team. Not ringing any bells? Well, there really isn't much to see, so I'll have to use images of Alpha Team as a placeholder. Close enough, I guess. It's funny, when you're a kid, it's easy to look at that LEGO Media logo and think it was just one entity making most of those games at the time. But almost every game was made by a different team of usually third-party developers. Sometimes you might find that one developer built 2 games, but LEGO Media itself was just a publisher. You don't know that kind of thing when you're a little kid in 1998 when LEGO Media was given a pitch by Digital Domain for a puzzle-focused game where you build LEGO contraptions to help minifig characters navigate maps. It sounds just like today's LEGO games where you hold down a button and the characters zip around building stuff, only this would be in a more restricted play area. The game was called LEGO Logic, and now I'm going to show you some incredibly rare footage animated by Doug Wolf. LEGO Logic featured wacky characters from a wide range of classic LEGO aesthetics. The game's worlds will be based on common household items we take for granted, say an overgrown jungle world in a plant pot, or an ice world inside a refrigerator, that kind of dealy. Like a simulation of a kid playing with toys around the house and what they'd see in their mind's eye. So imagine you, the kid who would have bought this game, playing as a kid in the game world, imagining a game world of their own with minifigures that they're playing with. What the heck? TV? Ogle? Nice shoulder pads. Yes, you are seeing Alpha Team characters because this was the original form of the Alpha Team game. Here are some words from Tom Mott, the game's lead designer. We were fairly far into full production, animation, building out the world, starting to build puzzles, when LEGO Media flew myself and the senior producer to their offices in London to present what we were doing. They hated it. The mix and match aspect just didn't fit in with how they market LEGO themes. We were pulling bits and pieces from themes targeted at 5-year-olds, 8-year-olds, boys, girls, etc. They told us they wanted to completely revise the idea and base it around a Mission Impossible style spy team. Keep it all very blue and black and boy oriented. More of a focus on cool gear and gadgets. So we threw out 90% of what we had developed, keeping TV and Evil Ogle, and created Cam, Dash, Crunch, and the rest. It was a bit rushed. We'd eaten up a year and a half of production heading in the wrong direction, but all things considered, I think it came out pretty well. 6 months later, the heavily rebranded Alpha Team was released. This was so interesting to me. LEGO didn't even create these characters. Dash's final design was just listen to this story. When we redesigned the characters, we had a hard time getting Dash's character design approved. I finally told the character designer to just make him look as much like the LEGO executive producer Tom Gillo as possible. Tom loved Dash's new look, having no idea we were trying to make Dash look like him, and the character design was promptly approved. I'll link the Eurobricks thread containing these statements and more in the description. Digital Domain had something going, and a year later we'd see the Alpha Team in the flesh. It was a small first wave with 6 sets, 2 for Ogle, the villain of the series, and 4 for the Alphas. One thing I really appreciate is how easy this made it to assemble the entire team, as each character gets a special vehicle of their own, but in some cases you'd get 2 of them clumped together. That's something I'd like to see done again. The theme had a simple but strong look with a small but focused range of colors. The Alpha Team focused on black and dark trans blue, accented with yellow and trans neon yellowish green. But you may have also noticed each vehicle has 1 or 2 of those grooved pieces matching each team member's color. Purple for Radia, green for Crunch, and so on. Ogle sets featured a lot more red all around, very aggressive looking. The minifigures themselves are cool too, but they were sadly watered down from their designs in the final game. Cam had a pretty sweet hairstyle that could easily be recreated in set form today, with all the new advances in minifig design, but back then this generic hairpiece was the closest they could get. Well, I really liked TV's design, being the only one to survive the theme's transformation completely unscathed. The antenna looked like eye stalks you see on a snail. Very cute. Ogle's design is iconic in its own right, but it's a weird hodgepodge of other characters. Instead of making a new mold of the shoulder armor he had in the game, they used a slightly modified one from an old LEGO space theme, and his face is just a modified Senor Palomars we saw a couple of episodes ago. Interesting bit of LEGO lore. Ogle is a descendant of Vladek from the Second Knight's Kingdom theme released in 2004. Can you see the resemblance? He also lost a hand and replaced it with a hook in later ways. And yes, his name is Lego spelled backwards. That should give you some idea of how truly evil he is. The actual design of the sets was kinda limited. They looked cool, but remember this was 2001, the same year Lens-like Bionicle saw full release, and there were a lot of other experimental themes around that time that used bigger, specialized pieces that inflated the price, which we've touched upon before. And Alpha Team's first wave was really no different, though I do like that brick-built skull on Ogle's base. It's a product of its time, when LEGO was still in trouble and holding out for at least a few of those lines to stick, still unsure of what their new direction should be. This trend would continue into 2002 with the release of such cherished lines as Galador and Jack Stone, and just look at those prices. $50 for less than 90 pieces. That's less than 2 pieces for each dollar. Can't do, won't do, unfinished. Some pieces from this line would be used in Alpha Team's next wave, Mission Deep Sea. I kinda missed out on the first wave. It was cool, but I just didn't see that many of them in the stores in my area, though I did get Olgo's speedboat at least. But Mission Deep Sea? Oh man. You think I love the ocean now, you don't know the half of it. This line featured around a dozen sets, all taking place underwater. Except this combo pack of sets on the first wave that serves as a midquel, I guess? The Alpha's vehicles were primarily yellow, a much brighter and more consistent look than before, while Olgo's sets used roughly the same range of colors they always did. It's a nice contrast. All of the Alphas were slightly tweaked with new faces, and Olgo's new minions looked terrifying compared to their old design. TV's body was replaced with this tiny sub thing that I like a lot. It makes sense for a robot to change bodies to fit the setting and assist the other characters, and it's endearing in much the same bumbling way as old design was. The idea here was that Olgo, who formerly only zombified people to serve him, was mutating various sea life to take over, and this was one of my favorite aspects of the line, was the sea creatures. A manta ray, a squid, a killer whale. Some of them looked almost too mechanical to be alive, and they didn't really look much like the creatures they're based on, but it was a fun idea we'd see carried over into other lines. Before, in lines like Aquazone, it was just submarine versus submarine, but pitting submersible vehicles against overgrown sea life has become a staple. The builds themselves were cool, made to separate into several chunks that could be swapped around much like any old LEGO space themes, and the price of part count was a little fairer than the first line. Not great, but better, which is surprising considering we have pieces from Jack Stone of all things in these builds. Sometimes you get smaller elements from larger sets on their own. If you wanted that Power Loader-esque robot suit that came with this giant set, no problem. Here it is by itself, just $4. One of the last Flash games in that old cartoon style we saw a lot of with themes like Adventures was made for this theme.
Ogly Wogly, why are you such an evil freak?
While Dash the Diver was released as a polybag in 2003, Alpha Team as a line wouldn't return until 2004, with yet another overhauled look and a new play pattern. The new line, Mission Deep Freeze, saw 6 releases that year, and 2 final sets in 2005 that went together like a final boss encounter as, get this, Olgo's final plan is to freeze time. Literally freeze it. With ice. I forgot about this, what the heck. The Alpha Team's vehicles were transformable, some to a downright impressive degree, though most just stood up a little bit. With a focus on various shades of blue, they were pretty cool, though personally I don't find them quite as endearing as the looks the first 2 waves had, but it's still a bold choice that makes this wave stand out. I really like some of the characters' latest redesigns, though others leave me confused, losing whatever identity they had, though it was cool to see new team members join the fight. Probably the weakest redesign of all is TV. He went from a charming armless robot to a charming sub-robot, to an efficient, practical-looking humanoid robot with all the whimsy of a heart monitor. Olgo's new base is kinda like that too. The last 2 bases were decorated with giant skulls, but this one just is a giant skull. Okay? This more streamlined look may not have been as zany as earlier ones, losing whatever traces of LEGO logic were left, but it was alright. Mission Deep Sea is where I think the line peaked. Just a few years later, we see the release of LEGO Agents in 2008 and Agents 2.0 in 2009, featuring 13 total sets. While Alpha Team was created by a third party and incorporated into LEGO's products, Agents was an in-house theme built from the ground up. The first line features silver and dark blue vehicles for the Agents, and black and orange ones for Dr. Inferno and his gang. And they did that combat in a box thing we discussed in episode 2, where you had elements of both factions in a single set that was just starting to become really widespread around that time. It's rare we get 2 things from the same team these days, unless they combine or something like Galaxy Squad. The Agents were neat, kinda starting in the same general direction that Alpha Team was heading in its final days, all streamlined and practical and tame, and all the corny personality bled out of it. It's the same deal we went through in the Adventures episode with Pharaoh's Quest, but the vehicles were made for a wide variety of locations, much like the first wave of Alpha Team, not just the ocean or the tundra, so that certainly helped spice it up. Cool designs, a striking unified aesthetic, yet somehow still kinda bland for me, though that mix design is hilarious. I love it. Give me more of that cheese. You may have noticed I have nothing to say about the Agents themselves. It's just normal guy and normal girl and normal guy as opposed to crazy smiley guy. Dr. Inferno wasn't that great of a villain. He was just kinda there for a while, and somehow even more cliched than Olga was. I think LEGO realized this, so in 2014's Ultra Agents line, they ditched the whole fiery look and threw in a much more diverse cast of supervillains, each having their own incredibly distinct identities and wonderfully over-the-top vehicles that said a lot about their character. There was such a wide appeal to these villains that even if you don't care about most of them, there's bound to be one that makes you go, hey, that's right in my alley. The mastermind who brought them all together, Antimatter, was a cool villain, so mysterious. The agents became even more uniform, mostly donning black, light trans blue, and some other trans elements. Very Tron Legacy. I actually like this. I think they tried hard to make the agents themselves more interesting than in 2008, crossing over a bit with some other lines, like their leader Solomon Blaze being a former member of the Galaxy Squad during his heyday, which itself is a sequel to Monster Fighters, kinda. I remember several of the villains appearing in Season 4 of Ninjago. That was a cool crossover. This line had an app to go with it, though I'm afraid I don't know much about it. I'm an old herb who just wants to play with plastic toys mostly. These apps are beyond me. Boasting a whopping 14 sets with far more unique vehicles, great builds, and more character in general than the original Agents line, I think Ultra Agents is rock solid, easily living up to Alpha Team's standard. The whole LEGO Agent shtick is really slick. I hope they revisit this kind of theme again in a few years and flesh these characters out more. We'll just have to wait and see. Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you enjoy my content, please consider supporting my graphic novel series, Planet Ripple. I'll be releasing Volume 3 soon. And tune in next time to see the one, the only, Exoforce.
This information is classified. 5 operatives, the LEGO Alpha Team, captured. Objective, infiltrate, emancipate. Strategy, plan and coordinate your moves to complete each challenge. Rules, whatever it takes to save the world on PC, CD-ROM, or Game Boy Color. Your world, your rules. This message will now vaporize.